Could one single drop really change the lives of 16 people? A summer day, a pool in a private backyard, the sound of laughter and carefree conversation from a group of teenagers aged 13 to 17. Then, a story erupts online. 16 girls face life-altering consequences after an incident at a pool party. Headlines are sensational, and user comments are filled with shock and disbelief. But from a biological and physical standpoint, is such an event even possible? Is this a real case or a well-orchestrated internet hoax? You'll get the answers in our video, but we've saved the biggest surprise for the end. Imagine scrolling through your newsfeed and stumbling upon a headline so shocking you can't help but click. 16 teens at party face unexpected consequences after a biological incident in swimming pool. The news report describes a birthday party where one of the guests, a 15-year-old named Dahlia, was supposedly the lucky one. According to the story, she and 15 other girls received an unexpected outcome. The party's host, the narrative goes, didn't even realize what had happened. A boy named Tommy had inadvertently celebrated so enthusiastically that he released genetic material into the pool. Portal authors spin tales of terrified parents, girls who can't believe their situation, and how Dahlia's family was nearly torn apart. They illustrate the story with photos of happy teens by the pool and schematic diagrams of human reproduction. Dozens of variations of the headline exist. Teen pool party leads to unforeseen circumstances. The swimming pool scenario, a biological impossibility. A pool party and a lesson in basic biology.
Each of these materials follows the same formula: an eye-catching headline, eyewitness accounts from participants, and medical commentary. It's all presented so convincingly that you might start to wonder, could it be true? But don't be too quick to take everything at face value. Soon, we'll break down exactly how these websites told this story. To understand what supposedly happened, we need to turn to the fundamentals of reproductive biology and the physics of the environment where fertilization would have had to occur. First, for pregnancy to happen, a sperm cell must meet an egg in a specific protected space, the woman's fallopian tube. The introduction of semen into a swimming pool makes such a meeting impossible. The water instantly disperses and carries away the sperm cells. Their free movement and dilution within thousands of liters of fluid reduce the probability of such an encounter to practically zero. Second, the viability of sperm outside the body is extremely limited. In water, especially water containing chlorine or other disinfecting agents, the seminal fluid rapidly loses its protective and nourishing properties, and the sperm cells die within seconds. Even in untreated freshwater, sperm cells survive for no more than 1 to 2 minutes. Only under controlled laboratory conditions, with optimal temperature and pH maintained, can their lifespan be extended to about an hour. The third factor is concentration. For a single successful fertilization attempt to occur, it requires millions of sperm cells per milliliter of ejaculate. When released into a pool, the number of sperm cells per liter of water is reduced by millions of times. Hypothetically, even a drop of semen is incapable of maintaining a sufficient concentration of cells after instantaneous dilution. Finally, the temperature regime is crucial. The optimal temperature for sperm motility is about 37 degrees Celsius, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Their activity drops sharply at lower temperatures, and they perish if the temperature is too high. Pool water is typically maintained at a cool 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, which adds yet another insurmountable barrier to fertilization.
Thus, when considering the mechanics of dilution, the chemical properties of water, the temperature conditions, and the biological requirements for fertilization, this story proves to be unfeasible. However, it continues to hold readers' attention. Proponents of the version about real pregnancy refer to a rare condition, hyperspermatozoospermia, claiming that with it, sperm demonstrate increased motility and viability. There is no confirmation in the scientific literature for the existence of such a disease or diagnosis. The maximum activity of sperm is limited by biological norms, and even an increased concentration of male gametes does not allow them to overcome the barriers of the external environment. The legend of pregnancy through water has deep roots and has repeatedly appeared in various variations. Back in the 19th century, folk stories passed rumors that a woman could become pregnant without being in direct contact with a man. It was enough to bathe in a river or even a puddle where ejaculate had fallen after intimacy nearby. These tales were told in villages as a way to scare disobedient daughters and deter unwanted suitors, portraying bathing in public reservoirs in a dangerous light. In the early 20th century, there were pseudoscientific publications that questioned traditional ideas about reproduction. Their authors described spontaneous pregnancy through water as proof that sperm could live in any wet environment for several hours. Naturally, after criticism from biologists, all such texts disappeared from serious publications. But many newspaper clippings and fragments still circulate in archives and private collections.
With the rise of social media and blogs, this story found a second life. Starting around 2010, the first websites began publishing investigations featuring victims who shared stories of their unexpected pregnancies. A classic example is the website World News Daily Report, which published an article about 16 girls in January 2016. This particular story was then picked up by sites like Hustlers, Nigerian Info, and Not Allowed To, which spread identical texts and headlines across the globe. A key element in this spread was the friend of a friend mechanism. Stories about a friend's friend were perfect for viral sharing. People are more likely to believe accounts that supposedly involve familiar, even if fictional names. This is why the original story about the pool and the 16 girls turned into a legend, soon followed by countless variations, with different numbers of party attendees, different names and locations, but all with the same astonishing outcome. Over time, the story accumulated additional details. Doctors were supposedly baffled, teachers called emergency meetings, and online petitions even appeared calling for a ban on teenagers swimming without adult supervision. All these additions only enhanced the veneer of plausibility and fueled further interest in the topic. Let's examine how news sites construct such stories and why they do it. The dissemination of the pool pregnancy story is not accidental. It is the result of carefully honed tactics employed by various sources. These portals select themes that trigger strong emotional reactions: shock, outrage, or curiosity. The plotline of teenagers becoming pregnant in a pool combines several hot-button factors: sexual themes, minors, and a medical anomaly. A classic headline promising a sensational story compels users to click the link, even if their logic tells them to be skeptical. The primary goal is to generate page views and advertising revenue, often at the expense of factual accuracy.
To mask fiction as reality, article authors invent participants and medical experts, fictitious characters with common names and detailed biographies. Quotes from a vaccinologist doctor or biology professor who loudly claim the case is unique in global medical practice. No verifiable contacts or references to actual scientific publications are ever provided. To enhance the effect, stock photos of happy teenagers by the water and illustrations of sperm cells are used. Sometimes, these visuals are overlaid with fake messenger screenshots containing confessions from participants. All this creates an illusion of authenticity. The primary channel for promotion is social media and messaging app communities. Social media algorithms favor content with high engagement, comments, likes, and shares, and outraged or shocked users actively share these posts without fact-checking. Once an article gains traction, it is copied by dozens of other websites. The text might be slightly altered, different names, locations, or numbers of victims, but the core remains the same. This same tactic is used for medical myths about vaccines, diets, and miracle cures. Monetization is the primary motivation. Every click generates revenue through ad networks. The more sensational the material, the higher the click-through rate and income. According to experts, such sites can earn thousands of dollars daily from these fake stories. Understanding these mechanisms will not only help you debunk the pool myth, but also teach you to critically evaluate any shocking news you encounter.
The website Snopes, which specializes in critically examining urban legends, rumors, questionable stories, and other controversial information, has thoroughly analyzed this report. It noted that the original source was a satirical or clickbait platform operating without any journalistic oversight. The authors at Snopes point out that articles from World News Daily Report, Hustlers, and similar sites provide no reliable evidence, and the medical experts they cite do not exist in reality. Snopes outlines the chronology of the story's appearance. Since January 2016, the publication has surfaced on various websites with the same text but without any proof. Other fact-checking organizations have conducted similar verifications. Factcheck.org labeled the story absurd, emphasizing the biological impossibility of such a scenario. Medical portals like WebMD confirm that sperm cannot survive in chlorinated water, and the likelihood of fertilization occurring outside the body is zero. The absence of quotes from real doctors, references to medical studies, or comments from authoritative experts definitively refutes the idea of pregnancy occurring through pool water. People tend to believe shocking stories, even if they are highly improbable. Emotional responses often overweight objective fact-checking. When a narrative triggers strong feelings, surprise, fear, or outrage, the brain seeks a quick explanation and may accept any readily available version. In the case of pool pregnancy, several psychological mechanisms come into play. First, the availability heuristic. If alarming headlines constantly appear in one's newsfeed, the brain begins to perceive such events as more common and real than they actually are. Second, confirmation bias. Anyone who has already heard about this myth will seek out arguments supporting it while ignoring or downplaying counter-arguments.
The third factor is social proof. When dozens of people like and share a post, it creates the impression that the story is genuinely important and trustworthy. Furthermore, a lack of basic knowledge about reproductive science plays a key role, as it prevents many from independently assessing the claim's plausibility. Ultimately, the combination of emotional triggers, cognitive biases, and a lack of specialized knowledge creates fertile ground for the spread of absurd yet sensational myths. Many users rarely verify the source of information or trust authoritative websites, even those without a reputation for credible journalism. This is why fake stories continue to thrive and find new audiences. Finally, it's time to summarize. The story of 16 girls becoming pregnant after swimming in a pool is a carefully constructed fake, based on old urban legends and amplified by modern clickbait tactics. Biological facts, the unviability of sperm outside the body, the mechanics of dilution in water, and temperature constraints make such a pregnancy impossible. Fact-checking organizations, including Snopes and Factcheck.org, have consistently debunked this myth, pointing to the absence of evidence and the unreliability of the medical experts cited in the articles. Psychological mechanisms like the availability heuristic, confirmation bias, and social proof, combined with the commercial incentives of clickbait sites, ensure such stories continue to circulate. Remember, before sharing shocking news, check the source and apply logical scrutiny. A new video will be out soon where we'll examine another surprising internet meme and discover how it holds up to reality. Don't miss it. Subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.